Hey guys, happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. I've got a really cool review today of this Graflex 2.0, which I've done a ton of accuracy mods on. Um, I've done a few extra bits recently, which I'd like to show you. So this was the first Graflex I ever purchased, and if you know the core band models, Graflex 2.0, Graflex 2.5, they're really good for installs, but they're not the most accurate, externally if you compare them to some of the higher end replicas out there like TGS, KR Sabers, whatever. There are some slight differences. So I have been working on it bit by bit over the years. I mean, have had this for a couple of years now, and I've added and changed various things to it just to make it look a little bit more accurate. And I've finally reached a stage where I'm really happy with how it looks now. It rivals some of the better replicas out there. So I'll just go ahead and show you and take you through it, and show you everything I've changed and how I got it to finally look this way. Starting from top to bottom as usual. So the first thing is right here, the bunny ears. So just to compare these, I still have the original. These are the Graflex 2.0 bunny ears, and this is from TGS. By the way, from now on, I'm going to refer to it as TGS throughout, but it stands for the Graflex Shop, just in case you don't know what I'm talking about. So as you can see, the original stock bunny ears here in my hand are significantly taller, and also the shape of the dome is ever so slightly different. I mean, it's subtle, but it's just one of those things where, if you're kind of nitpicking and going for extra accuracy, you're better off getting a pair of these from TGS. The other thing is, when you purchase a 2.0 or a 2.5, it's going to have an Allen head here, which doesn't look accurate. But this bunny ear from TGS, it comes with the accurate screw that looks like a rivet head. It is a little tricky to install, but with a little bit of patience, you can get it done. So I got rid of this. So yeah, bunny ears, TGS with the screw and the washer. Over here, I have made two. So this is obviously an install, so it has a blade plug, but I tried to get a blade plug that looks most similar to the bulb contact here this is an actual TGS model. So I went with one of these from KR Sabers. It's kind of black. It's got the nice brass pin here. What else? Over here, the 2.0 on the blade holder, I mean, there's nothing here. So this black lip that you see here is an extra, which I bought from Shapeway. It's a 3D printed, I think it's made of some sort of foam or plastic. But yeah, I mean, you just glue it onto the lip here, because that's how Graflexes should look. Obviously, they should have that rim, that lip. And Graflex 2.0 doesn't have that. It's missing that bit altogether. It works perfectly, it doesn't obstruct the blade or the blade plug in any way. So it's really well designed, and it's cheap. So I thought, yeah, just one extra little bit to make it look more accurate. So yeah, Shapeway, KR Sabers, TGS. Okay, moving a little further down, we've got the red button. If you have a Parks, a core band 2.0, 2.5, whatever, you'll know that the red button does not look great. It's the older ones are like an anodized bright red metal. They look horrible. And even the bezel itself, it's got that sort of that sharp angle, which most replicas do. So I got a red button from TGS. Again, this is the most accurate one it's got. It's Gen 2.2, I believe, at the moment. So it's just like this one, and it looks spot on, just like a vintage. It's got the right finish, the right profile, and this still acts as my activation switch, so underneath it's wired up. The beer tab is also from TGS, because the original beer tab that comes with this has got like a kink in it, which doesn't look right. So I got a beer tab from TGS along with the washer, but not the pin, because the pin from TGS doesn't work with this. It doesn't thread. So this is the original pin that I've retained. And the reason it looks red like that is because it was all scratched up. So I thought, well, let me sand it down to kind of reveal the brass underneath. Because in some of the movie stills, you can see that some of the brass is coming through. But when I did sand it down, it actually kind of looked more coppery than it did brass, which, oh well, it's not a big deal. Slide switch, again, the slide switch on the 2.0 doesn't look right. It's far too shiny. So I sanded that down. You can see here, it's just underneath. I filed it all the way down, and I put the accurate one from TGS right on top there, because it's got a more dull finish, and it's got the accurate pin, or screw, sorry. So yeah, all these little greeblies are from TGS, the red button, beer tab, washer, the slide switch. Again, more stuff from TGS. The pins, which are the smooth version, as accurate for The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, I'm sure. They're the smooth ones. Yeah, these are from TGS. The contact underneath as well, that's from TGS. This screw over here, I think it's from KR Sabers, because it was originally an Allen head. Yeah, most of what's on top here is from TGS. Oh, you can see, by the way, I had to bend this a little bit. The tab over here, you can bend it slightly forward, and that makes the bunny ears sit really nice and snug, because otherwise it just falls out, and a lot of people, it drives them crazy. So all you have to do is take some needle nose pliers and very, very gently bend this portion forward. It's very easy to do, and then the bunny ears will sit really nice and tight. You can see there's a screw, the end of the screw there, just in front of the red button. So it's not going to go anywhere. Yeah, so most of this is from TGS. That might be KR, I can't remember, but TGS sells the same screw. The glass eye, the 2.0 has like a false metal glass eye. This is an actual glass eye replica from TGS. It has to be sanded for The Force Awakens. You have to kind of grind it down, because when you buy it, it looks like this. It has a knurling, so you have to grind it down. It's very easy to do, and that reveals the brass underneath, and it looks beautiful. That's how it looks in the sequels. That's actually what I was trying to achieve over here, but that backfired a bit, but it's all right. It's not a problem. Yeah, so most of the mods were done over here with TGS. Moving down to the clamp portion. The clamp of the original clamp looks like this. That comes on the 2.0. It's absolutely fine. It's plain, like in the sequels. It doesn't have the Graflex stamping like the old ones did. And what they did actually for the movie is because they used a vintage Graflex, they used one that looks like that. It has a stamping on there. What they did is they put a sheet of metal to cover the whole thing, like a thin aluminium with the lines on it, but not the branding, to cover it. So I mean, this works. The one that comes with the 2.0 actually, look, it works great because it has the lines but it doesn't have the text. And this is what I had for a long time, but I decided to go one step further and do the actual build just like the movie. So what's underneath here is one just like that from TGS. And on top of it is a clamp cover from Wannawanga. And the reason I did that is, if you look really carefully, I mean, there's a clear difference in the color, and that's how it should be. If you look at the TFA prop, there's a difference, because this is a sheet of metal, there is a difference in color and also in finish. I mean, that's going to have machining marks, you can see. Even a vintage is going to have machining marks, whereas a thin sheet of aluminium is going to be completely smooth. And that, the one that comes stock, is going to look just like the rest of the hilt. So it would match it. It would match it in color, it would match it in finish. And that's not accurate. I mean, from a distance, it's absolutely fine. But, you know, compare that to that. The top one is more accurate. It almost has like a slight rose gold tint to it. And it's definitely kind of more smooth than the rest of the hilt. See the finishing marks here, the machining marks, and over here, completely smooth. So this is a sheet. When you buy it, it's just a flat, paper thin sheet from Wannawanga, and you wrap it around your clamp, and then you secure it with the lever and everything. So very easy to do, but it doesn't fit. I was going to put it around this and save some money, but it doesn't fit. I mean, this is just a different size, so it would have overlapped these holes, and I just thought, fine, I'll just buy a TGS clamp. Obviously with that, the other advantages, I got more accurate kind of bars and a lever than was on the 2.0. So the lever looks better. Clamp card, I've always had this one. It's the best one. It's from Wampa. It's completely accurate to the movie. It's got a very nice transparent background, acrylic, and a beautiful finish on these PCB strips. And that's my auxiliary button for the so there's a switch underneath here as well, which you can kind of see here, which is a shame. There it is, right here underneath. But from a distance, it's not too bad. There's nothing I could do about this just because of the way it's installed. Yeah, not much else to say around here. That screw should not be there if you want to go for movie accurate, but again, I need it here, otherwise this will move around. This whole clamp it won't be secure, and you know, there's wires and stuff underneath, so I don't want to mess with that. What else? Okay, so moving further down to the grip section. The grips that you get on the 2.0 are not accurate. The notch here is super wide, and the length is wrong, and it's also made of a kind of a soft plastic. It's quite pliable. These are from Wannawanga. They're made from resin, just like they'd made for the movie prop. They're a harder resin. They're obviously the accurate length as well. I believe it might be 88 millimeters, or I can't remember exactly, but they're the right length for it. And the notch is the right size. And then these 3mm rivets are also from Wannawanga. All right, and then finally we come to the pommel. The pommel of a Graflex 2.0 looks something like this. Obviously, it's got these venting holes for sound, and that's exactly what that looks like underneath all that. But I covered it first of all with a disc. There's a plain disc that you can get from Wampa or Wannawanga, one of them. And on top of that, I put a thin sheet of aluminium foil, just regular kitchen foil, because that's what they did for the movie, surprisingly. So there are some close-ups of the movie prop that show that it's just covered. And the reason they did this for the movie was because of this stamping, because all Graflexes have this bottom stamping where it says Graflex, blah, blah, blah. So they wanted to cover any kind of vintage branding. So they just took some regular I guess, aluminium foil and covered it. So I did the same. I just cut around them to shape and put one over here, one over there. That's it. Cobalt goes on top. This is from Wannawanga too. The stock one is very shiny. It's kind of a lower profile. It doesn't look right. And it comes, I think, with Allen head screws. It just looks all kind of wrong. So I got rid of that very quickly and I upgraded to this one from Wannawanga, which looks perfect. It looks very much like a vintage one. I think, yeah, this is how the vintage one looks. I mean, this is not a vintage, it's a replica, but the vintage one has 2 holes on the side, so that's how it looks on Empire Strikes Back. But on TFA, they did not use a vintage Cobalt. They used they machined a new one. They used a replica on the prop. So they didn't do the 2 side holes, I guess, because they didn't need to. These must have a function. So they machined a new one without the side holes. But anyway, I mean, Wannawanga sells both versions. This is ESB with holes. This is TFA without holes. And you press them on with 2 3mm rivets, just like those, again from Wannawanga. So yeah, basically all of this lower portion, I mean, really the only things left on this saber that are the original stock Graflex 2.0 are the top kind of tube and the bottom tube and the core inside, like the blade holder, the black bit here that you see. That's it. Everything else over here is mostly TGS, KR sabers, you know, all these pins, everything. Down here, TGS covered with Wannawanga, Sky Wampa, you know, TGS lever, everything. Grips. Down here is mostly Wannawanga stuff. The grips, the rivets, the cobalt, the disc. Yeah, that's it. I went a little crazy with this project. It probably cost me as much as 2 Graflexes over time, but I did it in stages, so it wasn't so bad. And really the other reason I did it is not so much to save money or anything like that. It's just I've got a big attachment to this particular saber. It's the first one I bought that was more like high end, that wasn't like a toy. And it had an old install, and a couple of years ago I sent it to someone. He installed it with Crystal Focus 10 and NeoPixel, so I upgraded it. And for that, I have a lot of memories with it. I'm attached to it. I've taken it to Comic-Cons, to Star Wars Celebration. I've taken it to premieres of the movies, and you know, I'm just kind of, it has a sentimental place in my collection, so I don't want to get rid of it. But at the same time, these little things kind of bug me, that they're not out, that it had really tall bunny ears and was missing that. And so I just went ahead and researched it a bit, and I found that, you know, you can actually do a lot of these changes quite easily. So yeah, I mean, it's never going to be 100% accurate. I mean, the S curve here isn't right. It's thicker than it should be. Yeah, there are small differences, but you know, at first glance, I mean, I think this looks pretty good. And I've seen a lot of higher end TFAs from TGS, from KR sabers, from all those, and they don't look too much better than this does. So I'm very happy with it. And yeah, that's it, you guys. I hope you've found this video entertaining or useful. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me a comment down below. I hope you've all had a wonderful Star Wars day, and you did something really cool. Please comment down below. Again, share your experiences, and I will see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always.